using towardsness and awayness to talk about my feelings. Okay, so first I'm going to explain a little bit what towardsness and awayness is, in case you guys don't know. I learned about this concept either on Twitter or directly from this blog post, probably because this blog post was linked somewhere on Twitter, or maybe on Substack or like on Ribbon Farm, I don't know. And it's towardsness and awayness basically is very well represented by this image, right? Awayness is kind of running away from something, the motivation of running away from something, which is directionless. And towardsness is like motivation but directed towards a single central thing, right? So yeah, these are kind of two different kinds of motivations, you could say, to do things. And I wanted to talk about this in the context, I wanted to talk about my feelings, and I thought of this concept to illustrate something that I was thinking about, right? So yeah, I'm going to go ahead. And what did the towardsness versus awareness concept come into my mind today, or lately? And the first thing is like a precursor to today was that I have been thinking about this, right? Recently I had a conversation with a friend and we were talking about motivation to do things or whatever, and I mentioned this same concept and this blog post of towardsness versus awareness to him. I don't know how I translated it into Spanish, I maybe used these words, but yeah, I was talking about this concept today regarding like how I view motivation and why I do things, and he was talking also about what things he wants to do and why, and I was missing kind of that why component of like why do you want to do these things, right? Are you doing them out of awareness or out of towardsness? And I was explaining how the things I want to start doing things towards, well, not towards, I want to do things with towardsness, right? With motivation to a central point instead of out of escaping another. That was kind of my thing, right? That was my I don't know, my angle of the conversation, you could say, or whatever the fuck. Okay, now comes the emotional part, I guess, right? Which is the reason why I'm making the video in the first place and what prompted today's anecdote. And today's anecdote was basically that I woke up earlier than usual, 10 a.m., which speaks to my unemployed status, but I usually wake up at 12 p.m., right? So at noon. And I woke up 2 hours earlier to screams, right? My parents were screaming, and well, my dad was screaming, more like it. And basically, I don't know, to sum up, my dad doesn't like his family. I talked about it in yesterday's live stream. Here, I mentioned like my dad's relationship to his family as well, and today was like a reminder of how he doesn't like them. Like, I could be not sure if he's exaggerating or whatever, and he said some things like, to me they are dead, or something, like something really like that, plus also screamed, right? So, I don't know. It's not the best thing to wake up at 10 a.m. also, like with 6 hours of sleep. Not, I don't know, maybe some of you are like, whoa, 6 hours of sleep, that's so much. To me, it's very little sleep. It's little sleep, not very little, but little sleep. Yeah, so basically, my parents were kind of arguing more or less, not between each other, well, a bit between each other, but more or less, my dad was kind of expressing how he doesn't want a lot of relationship with his family and in general with anyone, right? And my mom I heard my mom less, so because she wasn't screaming as loud, I guess. And yeah, that was the situation basically that woke me up in the morning. Yeah, so I first of all, I cried. That's why the video is kind of called Talk About My Feelings or something. I cried, then after crying a little bit, well, half an hour, I got up because I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to fall asleep again, right? And started writing kind of these notes. So, yeah, this anecdote, what I was thinking while crying in my bed and afterwards was of awareness, right? And I thought of awareness, of the concept of awareness, because, well, I felt awareness, right? I felt this motivation of, fuck, I don't want to wake up like this ever again, right? That is kind of a motivation that I've thought of like more times than I should have, I guess, right? Not sure, because I've lived with my parents for too long, and people usually get away from that earlier, right? People usually, when they feel it, they act on their motivations quicker than me. I didn't do that. Or because, yeah, I don't know. or because most people like don't actually get to feel this sense of I need to fucking get away from here because this is kind of mentally taxing from their families often. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the situation is. I only live in one family. And yeah, that was kind of my first feeling of awareness, right? My first anger that I felt, or like my first recall of these bad experiences that I had, because it's not a single experience, right? And this one, for example, today's was not, like, it wasn't as bad as I thought, because like it was basically my dad being angry at like his family himself, right? It was like his, and by his family I mean like his extended family, which is not me, right? He explicitly said that my mom and my dad, that my mom and my brother and me, like we were like safe, I would say, or something like that. He does likes us or whatever, or that he does one contact with us or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. You can say how that's not the best frame to, I don't know, to wake up to, I guess. And yeah, that being the good shows you maybe what, I don't know, what the bad feels like, right? Maybe the bad is like that that their relationship is really clashing or whatever, right? And you can imagine that I have woken up maybe sometimes like that, right? Yeah, I titled this second awareness, right? Because this was kind of the, yeah, I don't know, kind of more setting in, letting the awareness sit in or something like that, right? And I was like, why do I feel this awareness, right? And it's like, I feel like I am worthless in my own house, right? Even though that there is a part that knows that it's not true because of what he said, right? He explicitly said something like, and I don't know, in general, I don't know, I said this yesterday also in my live stream, right? I do have a good relationship with my parents myself, right? The thing is that they with each other, they used to not have a good relationship. And this takes me back to that time. So yeah, in general, I know that I am not worthless like that, right? There's a part of me that knows it's not true, but there's also another part of me that knows it is true in a sense, right? Because I know that I am an unwanted child, right? I know that I was an accident. I know that my dad married my mom because she was pregnant with me, right? It was not kind of the situation of your dreams or whatever, right? It's like this kind of accident. And I don't know, that is sad for me, right? And these kind of things remind me of the, I don't know, the deep truth that is sitting there all the time, I guess, right? Yeah, basically that it's out of circumstance. The fact, I don't know, I don't want to be like theoretical or whatever, or I don't know, say things, put words in his mind that he wouldn't say, because I guess that he would not say that, right? I don't know, as I've said, I don't have a bad relationship in that sense. But like there are bad parts of this thing, right? If you hate everyone, like if he said literally something like, I don't want to hang out with anyone or something like that, right? And then he said like except blah blah blah, right? And it's like if the circumstances where I was born were so random or whatever, it's like it's obvious that, I don't know, it's obvious that if I wasn't here, it would probably be better, right? That is probably like the thing. I don't know. I could go on and on about that, but then I started to think about like the next part of awareness or whatever, right? The next thing where awareness, this concept of awareness, is related, right? And it's basically like I want to escape or whatever, and I don't want. I don't know. There's also like this, the awareness of escaping from the thing, right? From a house or whatever. I don't want to feel that, right? But there is also like another layer of this awareness, right? Which is that, like, I don't want my parents to hear me cry, for example, right? And the thing I was like thinking, I also thought of this on stream or whatever, and I don't want to lock them out either, right? It's like, no, sorry, I don't know if it's because I want to lock them out, right? Because they don't deserve to know what I'm thinking or whatever, right? Like this is one theory. And then the other theory that I had is that maybe I don't want to signal what I think, right? Because if I signal that I cried, they would ask me why, right? And if I had to give the reasons, right, I would have to say these things, right? What I have said before, right? And say things like, say tough things, right? Like maybe, like there is also this sense of awareness of of my life essentially having been motivated by awareness, right? Of my relations, like, I don't know, if I have to talk about why do I have 0 relationships or whatever, right? Is it because of this awareness, right? I don't know. I started to think about these things, right? I started to think like, do I want to get away from the relationship that you guys have between each other so much that, and I would have to tell them that to their faces, right? It's like I would have to say, I don't want to replicate your relationship, right? And that is the fear that I hear, like, why I'm a fucking loser or whatever, and haven't had any relationships or whatever the fuck at 26 years old. Maybe that is like, is that the reason, right? Do I have to say these things? I don't know. Those are like, maybe this is like the start of why I start hiding and is this the start why I start hiding so many things? Right? I don't know. I start to think about all these things. I don't know. I thought many things. I thought also, I don't know. I was think of this. You are 26 years old. You are living in your parents' parents' house. You are unemployed, and you're crying at 10 a.m. because you have been woken up by screams. I don't know. It's like, how fucking pathetic is that? I don't know. I was thinking these things also. I don't know. Okay, and now the important part of the video, I guess, right? And the thing why this video needed to be made, which is like, why do this fucking video in the first place, right? Why are you even talking about these things? And I don't know, I am streaming right now, but I don't see what people are seeing, because this video is essentially for me, right? It's essentially to convince and to remind me and whatever the fuck, to feel the feelings, right? To sit with the feelings, I want to get away, not to get away, right? I want to go towards not crying, right? To not hiding my crying. I'm obviously going to hide my crying to my parents, obviously, like I keep doing, right? But this is kind of my way of not hiding my crying, right? I have been crying all fucking day, because not all fucking day, a little bit of the day because of that, right? But like, that is the point, right? To move towards honesty, to move towards that kind of thing, right? And to remind myself that the point of being this fucking unemployed person who is doing YouTube videos and who is streaming and who is all this, right? That there is a purpose to that, right? There is a reason why I am doing these things, right? There is a fucking reason, right? I am not just doing like lazily, whatever the fuck, right? I'm not lazily living with my parents because they cook for me or whatever the fuck, right? No, I actually want to cook for myself, right? But I endure these things. Because of this moment, right? Because of the moment when they are fucking angry with each other, and it reminds me of the fucking bad day that I have, of the bad days from before, or of the relationships that I haven't had, or all these things, right? I am doing it because of it. Like, this is the reason why I am doing the fucking YouTube videos, to fucking say these things, right? To get off my chest and to do these things, I guess, right? That there is a purpose, right? To remember that there is a purpose. There is a reason. There is some towardsness. I don't know. I wanted to contrast the towardsness with the awareness because of this. Right? There is a sense in which I am doing these things. There is a sense. I don't know. Yeah, this is it. As you can see, I'm not very eloquent. This was like, I don't have a lot more scripted. But yeah, this was part. I recorded this while live streaming, so you can check it out on the description. I will leave this fucking link that you can see here. This. I'm not sure why you would want to do it, but I figured that if you reach the end of a 50-minute long video, I don't know, maybe you are curious about it, about the process. Probably not, because it's only 50 minutes. But I don't know. I don't want to think about a related video that you could watch next, blah, 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 right? I don't know. I mentioned this because I don't know, it's fucking YouTube. I don't know. Do whatever the fuck you want. I will leave the link below, because it also helps me. I don't know, if I ever in 5 years I look up this video and I see, for some reason, maybe I will forget that I have streamed. I forget everything that I do constantly. I have very little memory of what I've done 2 years ago, right? I don't know what I was doing 2 years ago. But if I see a picture, it's like, oh, I remember 2 years ago I was actually part of a motorcycle team, and I was like going to circuits every month. Maybe that's something that happened, but I literally forget, right? Like, my mind does not hold those facts as real right now. So maybe in 2 years, my mind does not hold the fact that I was live streaming every day as real. So I will leave this kind of link there. So yeah, So there's, I don't know, constancia. I don't know how to say that in Spanish, in English, sorry. Yeah, to leave proof of that. To leave proof of the fact that this happened or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Bye.